and eventually they got divorced. And I think it was 1985. I was in my second last year of high school. About a year after the divorce, myself, my brother, my mum and my sister had moved into this block of flats. They weren't really flats, they weren't high-rise flats, they were all kind of on the same level, almost like little masonette type things, all in one sort of square. And we called it Divorcee Village because most of the people who lived there were either single or divorced and had kids or whatever. On this particular day, we'd come home from school on the bus, got back to the house. I'd made something to eat for Tracy and Robbie, my brother and sister. And my brother had gone across the road to this Rhodesian woman's house to go and hang out with their daughter. My sister was doing her homework. And my brother was gone for maybe an hour and a half. When the door went, there was a loud banging at the door. I went and opened the door. And there was this Rhodesian woman with my brother and this girl. This woman just seemed so angry and really scared as well. And she had this tape in her hand. She kept repeating, look what they did this, they did this, they did this, you know. And I just said, well, what the hell's going on? What's happening? She said, you know, you better listen to this tape, you better call your mother and all this sort of stuff. So I thought, okay. It would have been nice if this was a night, you know, night time with a full moon, but it was during the middle of the day, you know, around about 4 o'clock, 3:30 or whatever it was, and a beautiful day, sun shining. Put this tape in and listened to what was on the tape. And at the beginning of the tape, there was my brother and this girl talking, whispering in the background. And then there was silence, and then they started singing. Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so. And they were singing, Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so. They are weak, but he is strong. And at one point in the song, this voice came over my brother and this girl. He is weak, but I am strong. A really deep voice. He is weak, but I am strong. I don't know how else to describe it except that it sounded like the girl who was in The Exorcist when she was possessed and she was hanging up on the wall, whatever. And it sounded exactly like that. I am strong. It just completely blew me away. I didn't know what to make of it. I really didn't know what to do. There was no way you could explain it because you could hear their voices in the background, but at the same time this voice was over them. It wasn't just like there was a gap and then the voice and then them singing again. They were still singing in the background. They'd listened to the tape, my brother and this girl, heard it, totally freaked out. The mother had come in and they played it for the mother, and the mother, I think, had just taken the tape out and ran straight across the road and left the house to get out of the house.
Get out. Out. To you.
And the first thing, obviously, we thought, well, there must have been someone in the room with you. And I said to my brother, was there anyone there? Who was in the room? And this girl and my brother just said, "There's no one in the room. It's just us. It's just us in the room." And it just didn't make any sense. So I went across to the house, and so did the woman, and I went through the house looking. And obviously there was no one in the house. It's a small house anyway, but no one could have been in there and run away. And you know, if they had, she would have seen them, because they would have had to have either come out the front door or go out the back door. It was a very strange voice, and it sounded like I say, the voice was drawn out, but it was also laughing at the same time. There was a kind of laughter in it. Very, very creepy, and just not of this world is the only way to describe it. And now that I think about it, the way this thing said that, the first thing, although I tried to suppress that, was that this was just no ordinary ghost. This was the big man himself. This was whoever's God's opposite number, basically. He is weak. Satan, whatever you want to call it, but it was definitely a real evil-sounding voice. So I called my mum. My mum came home straight away, because I said, "You just need to come home." My brother suffers from asthma. He was hyperventilating. He was on his asthma pump all the time. We listened to it, and my mum just completely froze up. That would have been the third time I'd listened to it. I just didn't want to hear it anymore. Every time you heard it, it just made it worse in a way. And of course, as true Scots people did, we opened up a bottle and started having a quick drink while we thought about what this was. This Rhodesian woman did say that her brother had been killed in the Rhodesian War, and that sometimes that she felt his presence was there, and she said that she had felt it in the house, but that he wouldn't, even in the afterlife, that he wouldn't do something like that to her daughter. You know, that he wasn't a malicious man in any way. And to me, it just didn't sound like it was a ghost. It didn't sound like it was someone who'd passed on. It sounded old. It sounded really strange. The guy who owned the hotel had listened to it. He was my mum's boss. We were all quite close because my mum was divorced. We all became quite a close-knit kind of family in a way. And he played it for his brother, who was at the University of Pretoria, or worked at the University of Pretoria. And he in turn took it and played it to somebody else at the university, who was some audio guy or whatever. And we met with him at the hotel 2-3 weeks later and listened, and he basically said, you know, is there any way we can have this tape so that we can play it? Because after analysis, it was obvious that the voices in the background, the singing in the background of my brother and this girl, this voice was there at the same time as them. It hadn't been put over. It was taped at exactly the same time. And this chap, whoever he played it to, said he just couldn't get his head around this. He couldn't figure it out. Everybody who listened to it, it basically spooked them out beyond belief. We took the tape to our priest, basically, and my mum, being staunch Catholic, was like, "Whatever you say we should do, we should do." And he listened to it, and he just said, "You have to burn this tape. Just get rid of it." And he wouldn't say what he thought it was. He just said, "You have to get rid of it." And he came to our house and the Rhodesian woman's house and walked around with incense and blessed the house. And we asked him, did you feel anything? And he said he couldn't feel anything, and he didn't sense anything, but that the house had to be blessed of whatever was in it. The conclusion I draw from the whole experience is that there was, and it's the only way it can be explained away, there was another entity in the room with my brother and this girl. There